It was a chilly March evening in 1991 when George and Martha, a married couple, were preparing to head out for a dinner with the president of George's company. They were all dressed up and ready, but there was one problem. Their nanny, who they'd hired to watch over their 8-year-old son, Martin, was running late. Time ticked on, and the nanny's delay was becoming increasingly worrisome. The phone finally rang, and it was the nanny on the other end. She explained that she was at the doctor with her aunt, who needed her support and had to stay for a while. The parents faced a dilemma. Missing the dinner was not an option, as George's job depended on it, but they couldn't leave their young son unattended. It was Martin who eventually stepped up and reassured his mother that he could stay home alone. He promised to behave, be responsible, and wait for the nanny to arrive. With some hesitance, the parents agreed to his plan. They locked the door securely and George set off to the dinner, leaving his wife behind as a safety precaution. But Martin's persuasive argument had convinced them. The couple left the house, and Martin, after making sure the door was firmly locked, went to the kitchen. He grabbed a bag of popcorn from the fridge, emptied it into a large bowl, and poured himself a generous glass of Coca-Cola. He made his way to the living room, where he turned on the TV, ready to enjoy a thriller until the nanny arrived, prompting him to go to his room. Martin relished his newfound freedom, free from adult supervision, and watched a movie his parents would never have allowed him to see. As he became engrossed in the film, time slipped away. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the house, jolting Martin. It was just a sudden storm, rain pelting down as though it had arrived out of nowhere. Martin continued to watch TV, but as the storm intensified, the power in the house and the entire neighborhood went out. The TV screen went dark, and Martin was left waiting for the nanny in the pitch-black house. In the darkness, a childlike voice broke the silence, saying, "Hi, do you want to play? Do you want to play hide and seek?" Martin's heart raced. There had been no sound of anyone entering the house, and the locked door and closed windows offered no explanation for the mysterious voice. The voice persisted, growing louder. "Do you want to play? Do you want to play? Do you want to play?" Martin was terrified, but he managed to keep his composure. He quietly placed the popcorn and soda aside and made his way to his room, waiting for the nanny to arrive. He thought, "Just wait for the nanny. She'll be here soon." Time passed, and the voice fell silent. Martin stayed hidden in his room. But then the door slammed shut, and Martin assumed it was the nanny finally arriving. He cautiously left his room, moving toward the front door. That's when the voice returned, louder than ever. "Let's play, let's play." Martin turned to see something that defied explanation. He let out a horrified scream. The nanny, alerted by the screams and with the help of concerned neighbors, broke down the door and found Martin on the floor, gasping for breath. An ambulance was called, and the terrified parents rushed to the hospital. In the days that followed, as doctors and psychologists tried to uncover what had traumatized Martin, he could only utter one phrase: "She has no face. She has no face." Martin remained mute for 2 long years, under the care of medical professionals. His parents never learned the full story of what happened that fateful night. Months later, rumors began to circulate in the neighborhood about an old abandoned factory. The story told of a tragic incident in 1950 when children had entered the factory to play hide and seek. A fire had erupted, and the children were trapped inside, perishing in the flames. The bodies were so severely burned that even the coroner was shocked. Since then, strange tales had swirled around the factory. Reports of eerie laughter and voices emanating from the building sent shivers down the spines of those who ventured near. Some believed that the burned children's spirits still lingered. Martin didn't speak again until he was 22, and it was only through hypnosis that he revealed what had happened that night. The details remain a mystery, and the questions persist. What exactly had scarred this young boy, rendering him mute for nearly 2 decades? Who was that enigmatic child? Could she have been one of the ill-fated victims of the factory fire? And most importantly, is she still out there, waiting to be discovered?